Hello and welcome to Midlands Business Update, the big centre show which looks at the stories and the people behind some of the region's most successful companies. Now, Birmingham-based pressworking firm Brandauer certainly fits into this category. It's just invested more than £250,000 in a new special products division. It's improved the company's capacity for one-off prototyping and low-volume manufacturing, and it's already, as we'll hear, bringing in extra business. So let's find out some more. Please welcome the company's Chief Executive, Rowan Crozier. Rowan, thank you for joining us.
Hello, Carl.
Your company's been going for 153 years, isn't it now?
Yeah, that's
right.
right.
So it's not a newcomer by any means.
No.
Take us back to the beginning. How did it all start?
A company was founded here in Birmingham on the outskirts of the Jewellery Quarter, manufacturing dipping ink pen nibs, similar to these types of components you see here. In essence, cutting and forming thin gauge non-ferrous materials into, in this case, a pen nib, as you would have dipped with a quill to sign your name on the majority of documents.
And back at the end of the 19th century, this is cutting edge stuff, isn't it? I mean, this is
absolutely right. And the Brandauer name and the brand at the time, it was up there with some of the big names. I suppose you associate it with Parker or something like that these days. So high volume, sort of relatively low cost sort of production of pen nibs presented in large quantities like that.
like a matchbox, isn't it? Really?
Absolutely right.
You just chose just how different our life is. You forget, don't you, sometimes? So how long did the company produce those for then?
I suppose we've produced those for around 100 or so years. So we haven't produced pen nibs for the past 50 or so years. You still can make them, actually, here in the Jewellery Quarter in the Pen Museum. If you go there, there's some original tooling that you can actually make your own Brandauer pen nib if you still want to do that.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
The principles then and the engineering and the precision expertise, though, from back in the pen nib days, is still the essence of what the company's all about, isn't it, really?
We still make our profits, we make our money from bending, forming and cutting in a precision, at a high level, precision in high volume today. That's what we do today, and that's how we stamp parts today. But not for pen nibs. We're now supplying into numerous sectors. The last count was 9 different sectors we supply into.
And obviously, we're talking about the £250,000 investment in expansion. That doesn't come from a company if it's not doing well. So, good times at the moment.
Absolutely, yeah. We've as most manufacturing companies did in 2009, when there was a significant financial crash, a recession. We made quick decisions at the time to protect the company, difficult decisions. However, we are a better company as a result, and I think those that survived learnt an awful lot, became more efficient, doing the same things but in more efficient ways. And absolutely right, we've come through that quite difficult phase, and we're now going through a phase of growth. And over the next 5 years, we're planning on doubling the size of Brandauer. And we're well on track to do that.
And can you do that at the base you're in now? Where are you based now?
We're still based about 150 metres away from where we were founded. We're not in the Victorian building anymore. It's a more modern facility, but just on the edge of the Jewellery Quarter in Newtown is where we're based. Can we still do it within the factory we have? Yes, we can. It very much depends on the mix of demand and requirements and the business we win and the volumes and markets we end up in. But if it fits our current capability and capacity, yes, we can deliver that doubling within the current building that we have and facility we have.
And is that, so you're talking about doubling sales or doubling staff or both?
Probably both. Certainly doubling sales. We won't need to quite double the staff, but we'll need to take staffing up probably by 40 to 50%. Our process, once developed and once productionised, is relatively low labour content. It's highly automated. So there's a lot of work and development and engineering that goes in to the innovation end of the cycle. But once we start stamping in volume and producing parts in volume, we're heavily automated, and that's what makes us globally competitive. There's minimal labour content in what we do once we hit full pelt production.
Well, this is probably a good time to maybe take a look inside your plant. Now, our friends at the manufacturer came to visit Brandauer a few weeks ago, and they very kindly allowed us to show their video report of what they found when they spoke to a very familiar looking face.
So Brandauer provide a full development service to take our customers' concepts into a manufactured reality. That, in essence, is small, formed, non-ferrous metal parts. Our three biggest sectors are white goods, and they are contacts that go into domestic kettles predominantly, plumbing industry, and that is push-fit grab rings that go into push-fit plumbing applications. And the third, and perhaps most aggressive growth market for us, is automotive, and multiple types of electrical mechanical connectors for the automotive industry. 75% of what we manufacture is exported, and that's increasing. So we're probably going to be 80% at the end of next year. Reshoring is supporting that activity. We are winning business more offshore than we are actually in the UK at the moment. We are globally competitive. We've been supplying China with 4 million parts a week for the last 10 years and continue to do so. And the contract with regards to, most recent contract with regards to reshoring is a cable conduit connector, which is a telecoms application which we supply to 4 different countries: China, India, Mexico, and Eastern Europe. It's been a real passion of mine, and we've driven it through the factory here. So we now currently have 3 apprentices recruited on site here in engineering disciplines. We've got another 3 being added over the next 3 months, and a target of 10. We only employ 55 people. So it's a significant percentage of our business is now dedicated to bringing new people and training new people. In addition to that, we've developed KTPs with Birmingham City University, which is working very well for us. And we have much closer engagement through Man Group with other universities like Warwick Manufacturing Group. I took the reins in September, and I put in a 5-year plan to launch, my reign, I guess, at Brandauer. Part of that really was to fix a number of issues and deal head on with the skills gap. Secondly, is to grow this business and double its size over the next 5 years by diversifying, offering new capabilities, and potentially developing a product that's Brandauer branded.
Thanks again to our friends from the manufacturer for allowing us to show that video. Now, you talked in there about the volume of overseas sales and some fairly ambitious and eye-catching targets. We hear a lot about things being imported into Britain from China. You export to China some phenomenal numbers, don't you?
Yes, we do. Around a third of our turnover actually goes to China directly from our plant here in Birmingham. That's predominantly for the telecoms and white goods markets, in particular kettle control components. So domestic kettles, jug contacts that carry the current into the element to boil the water in your tea and coffee that you had this morning's breakfast. We supply 90% of the world volume of kettle control components. That equates to around 3.5 million parts per week that we're shipping out to China. These types of these types of components that you see on here. So that's tooling that's maintained and developed at Brandauer, and then components that are also stamped at Brandauer and then shipped under our responsibility into Hong Kong to our customers in the Shenzhen region of China.
Is there a particular reason why China is such a lucrative market for your company then?
We're very suited to high volume applications, and the majority of consumer electronic or white good components that are relatively small are assembled and contract assembled and manufactured in China. The types of components that we specialise in are specialist materials, very difficult to stamp, and as I've said earlier on, they're minimal labour content. So we're enabled to be able to support volume but maintain global competitiveness while doing that.
What about other overseas markets? Are there markets that you find it difficult to break into, or have you got any target areas with a big red flag over them at the moment?
Target areas for us are renewables, the renewables market. That's something that is at its embryonic stages of development. So in particular, renewable power generation, green power generation, so hydrogen fuel cell componentry, micro wind turbines, that type of thing. We're doing a lot of laminations and polarity plates that go into those types of applications. Again, they have the potential to be very high volume and are highly technical and specialist materials to stamp.
Excellent. We'll talk some more after the break. I can't wait to find out about your connection with the Hadron Collider in particular. So we'll talk some more with Rowan in a moment, and we'll also look at why size doesn't matter for a West Midlands entrepreneur who's making the news on both sides of the Atlantic. Welcome back. Now, before the break, we were hearing about Birmingham pressworking company Brandauer's exciting expansion plans, and we'll be talking more about that in just a moment with the Chief Executive. First, though, we love an entrepreneur here on Midlands Business Update, and Jake Hollier is a person who certainly fits that description. Big Centre's Monica Plaha paid him a visit as he opened up his new company inside an old red telephone box. No wonder the Americans can't get enough of it.
A coffee shop in a telephone box. What's this all about?
I don't know. People have been asking me this all day. It all started when I kind of left school with just my GCSEs, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do in my life, so I just went and got a job straight away. But I knew I always wanted to be self-employed. And it kind of just went from there. I was walking through town one day. I live in the jewellery quarter. I was walking through town, saw that they were up to rent, contacted the company, and then just went from there. Called them, said, "Oh, what's it all about? What can I do with them?" They suggested the coffee idea, and I thought that's a really good idea because I do like coffee. That is a really good idea. So let's go from there.
And so it's your first day of opening today. How's it going?
It's been interesting. It's been no one will come, and then all of a sudden a million people will turn up at once. It's been so crazy. But yeah, I've really enjoyed it. People have really responded well to it.
So what has the response been like? What are people saying?
People just think it's mental. People just see it's a British icon, and they would have went to waste otherwise. So this is a good way to sort of recycle it and don't let it go to waste.
And is there any other concept like this? Have you heard of any other concept like this?
There is one in Brighton. I did go down there 2 weeks ago, but he's got two. Whereas this is one. So this is officially Britain's smallest coffee shop.
Officially?
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel?
Proud. Yeah, why not?
And so what are, your future plans? Are you going to keep this open for a long time?
It's got a 3-year lease, and there is 4 more along this road. I would like all of them. I would definitely like all of them eventually, but we'll see. We'll see.
You're going to see how today goes, and then hopefully...
Yeah, I don't want to jump in the deep end just yet. We'll just see how today goes.
And what have you got on offer here at the shop?
Well, we've got all these espresso-based products. So we've got your lattes, cappuccinos. Food, I've sourced some fantastic sausage rolls from this farm in Shropshire. There's even a great vegetarian option, like a vegetarian not sausage roll, but it's like spinach and Bombay potatoes. It's brilliant. And yeah, some pastries. We've got some cold drinks. Gonna have some hot chocolate on sale. Gonna have lots of seasonal products. It's right with the German market, so we'll see how it goes.
And what do you think this initiative brings to the region itself?
This is great because I always say every time I go to Brighton, every time I go to London, it's full of independence. It's like full of really crazy stuff. And I thought Birmingham doesn't lack necessarily independence, but there's not as many, and there's definitely room for a lot more. So this is why. That is another one of the reasons why I wanted to do this.
Jake Hollier there and his eye-catching new business venture in the centre of Birmingham. And from a small business that fits into a red telephone box, let's come back to a large manufacturer which needs a pretty big factory. Rowan Crozier from Brandauer in Birmingham is still with us. Rowan, what did you make of that entrepreneurial effort in the telephone box?
Very striking. I mean, it's one that is you're naturally attracted to go and buy coffee. So no, it's a great idea. I like it.
Now, talking about things that you're naturally attracted to, ever since you came and sat in the studio here tonight, puts a vast array of products on the table. I've been particularly fascinated by this. And then you told me the story about it. Your company is responsible for the success of the Hadron Collider. Is that? Am I exaggerating a touch or not?
Maybe a touch.
Tell me the story.
We certainly helped in the development of the Hadron Collider. So basically, the component you have in your hand was part of the solution to when the first experiment was fired up in Geneva.
It blew up, didn't it?
It blew up, yeah. And effectively what was happening, there were peak pressure points which needed to be vented during the experiment, and they couldn't because of the venting caps were bolted down in a fixed formation onto the vent tubes. We helped to develop a highly conductive component that held on and retained the caps on the vent tubes, but also allowed for flexing at peak pressure points to let the gases vent out, the vapours vent out at peak points, thus stopping the explosions that were occurring. So we manufactured those. That was a contract we actually won just after the recession hit, and it didn't really suit our business at the time because it was relatively low volume, but quite a specialist material. They needed stamping and a specialist development. We took it on and successfully delivered for them, and we actually had repeat orders for other requirements, more standard requirements at the Hadron Collider facility.
Had you been involved in the developers of the Hadron Collider before that then? Or?
No, not at all. Actually, we won the business by referral. So one of our biggest suppliers of beryllium copper, which is this material that you see on the table here, is an American supplier, and they were approached by CERN for a potential component manufacturer to help them develop this component. And they said, well, we'll supply the material, but we recommend Brandauer to take this on. A lot of our business is won through recommendation, actually.
Which is the best way to win business at the end of the day, isn't it?
Absolutely right.
Do you still get a real personal satisfaction when you actually see something that you've produced from its embryonic state used in something as globally significant as...
I have to say, on a personal level, it's the biggest reward, really. Working in manufacturing, being able to see things that you've contributed to, however big or small, it means an awful lot. It's a great thing, and it's one that I try and pass on to a lot of the apprentices and young people that we're bringing into the business now. It's great to know you can add value and see change quickly for either Brandauer or Brandauer's customers or further afield.
And you talked about maybe this particular job not suiting the model that you'd got necessarily.
Yeah.
Is that one of the reasons maybe why you brought forward this special products division and the sort of the lower volume jobs that you can now offer to people?
Absolutely, 100%. We were quoting prototypes. We were being asked to quote prototypes by our volume customers to help them develop the early stages of production. But we were subcontracting that. We were doing some in-house in a volume environment, and it didn't suit, and we were struggling a little bit. And I got to a point where I was having to turn away business, or potentially turn away business, and I didn't want to do that because I knew we could add value and we could have another string to our bow. So we decided to take on that mantle ourselves and create some space in the factory first of all, because we didn't have enough space for a standalone facility, and then invest that $250,000 that you spoke about and employ people with a slightly different mindset. There's a different mindset to make one-off rather than billions of parts, and we've had to be quite careful about how we develop that.
And how easy is it to recruit the sort of people that you want in this area?
In all areas of our business, particularly the technical ones, it's quite difficult to A, find people, B, train people, and C, retain people, and it's something that we've worked really hard at over the last 5 or so years.
Now we've looked at the nibs, we've looked at the Chinese exports, and we've looked at the Hadron Collider. Yeah. What else have we got here? Just talk us through some of the other bits you've got.
I've got a couple of different examples down here. High volume componentry. What I tend to find when I'm explaining components that we make, people find it difficult to relate to them because we're always the small thing that people don't realise that we make. So we do nose clips, bridge clips for medical and environmental face masks that you see here. So these are high volume stamped components. We're supplying around 70 to 100 million of these a year, and we're supplying those to the USA, Korea, South Africa and the UK. Another alternative is right at the other end, quite a low volume, high precision application, which currently goes through our special products division, the prototyping area. And that's a particle accelerator component that goes into an MRI scanner, similar to the one that you'd see in hospital if you went for your scan. We're doing multiple components in rather specialist alloys like molybdenum and nickel for those types of applications.
And then what else have we got here? What's this one here?
Other big markets for us are automotive electronics. So with the continual development of unmanned vehicles, electronic vehicles, hydrogen fuel cell vehicles, we're seeing a lot more complex electronics applications being put into them. So with that becomes the requirement for terminations, connectors, and housings for control units. While we don't actually currently manufacture those plastic molded elements, we do all of the metallic parts that plug or connect either mechanically or electronically inside these things. So what you see here is a terminal connector for a fluid control sensor in a fuel system for a automotive application. And then what you see here is a lead frame that will eventually be overmolded for a power steering control module. Again, automotive application. We manufactured all of the tooling to make all of the metallic components that you see on the table here, and then we go on to stamp those in our press shop as well.
So one of the pluses really is clear to see here is that you've got a broad market that you're selling to, you've got a broad range of products, and that's obviously these days with the economy the way it is, it's a strength, isn't it? Rowan, thank you so much for coming in. Good luck in the future. That's all for another week. Don't forget, if your company has a success story to tell, a new contract to announce, jobs to create, or a point of view on a topical issue, get in touch with us. Drop us an email to business@bigcentre.tv. We'll see you next week.